is never, ever give up. Just keep going forward. Never stop. It may seem like you have no chance. It may seem like it's over. Never, ever quit. If you're a quitter, I hope you quit right now and stop watching immediately, because you'll never make it. Look at what happened.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold on, your head is bloody.
Sir, we gotta move to the bus. Move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay, my shoes down. My shoes.
Watch out.
Wait.
Welcome the next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again. Just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it! God bless the USA.
But I got lucky. God was with me, I tell you. That's what they call it, close call. That was an amazing, horrible thing, amazing thing, and in many ways it changes your attitude, your viewpoint on life. And I think, honestly, I think you appreciate God even more. I really do, because something happened something happened. Not that it was pleasant. It wasn't like it was a complete miss, but it was pretty terrible that can happen. You still need help from the boss. We need help from the boss. That's what happened. We need help. Right? Yeah, we need help. It's all right to say it. Now, they'll criticize me for that. How dare he say that? How dare he say that? No, I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll say it. Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." They said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ." I'm not taking any chances. I'm not going to have an argument. Hey, I'm not having any arguments. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to take any chances. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. And the Senate races in Montana, Nevada, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, were all won by The MAGA movement, they helped so much. And in those cases, every one of them, we worked with the senators. They were tough races. And I mean, the number of victories in the Senate was absolutely incredible. And we did tele-rallies. We did tele-rallies with each one of them. And sometimes we did 2 or 3 and it was amazing to look at all of those victories. Nobody expected that, nobody. So I just wanted to thank you very much for that. And you have some great senators and some great new senators. And it also looks like we'll be keeping control of the House of Representatives. And I want to thank Mike Johnson. I think he's doing a terrific job. Terrific job.
So here we are, already 1 month into the presidency of the 47th President of the United States, Donald John Trump, and let's analyze whether he is fulfilling his campaign promises. We know there's been a lot of action, but what has happened in 1 month? We're talking about things like no tax on tips, drill baby drill, illegal immigrants, the DOGE. Let's analyze all of this in just 1 month and see what's gone on. All right, so let's tackle one of these campaign promises of no tax on tips. So where do we stand with that one? Well, there are 2 campaign bills which essentially mirror each other called the No Tax on Tips Act. One of them is endorsed by Representative Vern Buchanan, a Republican out of Florida, and the other one is endorsed by Senator Ted Cruz, Republican out of Texas, Jackie Rosen, and Catherine Cortez out of Nevada. If for some reason either one of these doesn't get accepted, there's another one called the Tipped Income Protection and Support Act, a little bit longer name, and that one is endorsed by Representative Stephen Horsford, a Democrat out of Nevada, again, the same state. That is where Trump made that campaign promise in Las Vegas, Nevada. It seems likely that one of these will get accepted, as the general consensus is that a tip is a gift. It's not part of the standard income of employers, including waiters and waitresses, cosmeticians, barbers, massage therapists, and spa treatments. So the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is waiters and waitresses in restaurants, because they only get paid $2.13 on average across the states, and they rely on these tips to make it. Now, those other jobs, they don't necessarily rely on their tips to make it, especially when it comes to massage therapists. They make quite a good amount of money, but it does still come into play here. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, waiters and waitresses nationally make $15.36 an hour, but you got to understand that's when they had to report the tips, and they still have to do that legally. Now, it remains to be seen what companies will do if one of these bills becomes law. Will they raise the prices of their food? I don't know, but it would be illegal for these companies to decrease the rate of pay that these servers already make. So it should be financially lucrative for servers to hold that position if they don't have to report these tips. And that should include those bussers as well, and hosts who are on tip share, and many corporations do that. Number 2, drill baby drill. When it comes to drill baby drill, the first thing that people think about is the Keystone XL pipeline. Now, in the timeline, in March of 2019, President Trump provided a permit for the Canadian companies to cross the border of the Keystone XL pipeline into North and South Dakota and other states like Nebraska. In January of 21, when Biden came in, he made an executive order to shut down production just hours into his presidency. It was the very first thing he did, if you remember. 3.5 years later, before Biden's presidency was over, the South Bow Corporation, which was a spinoff of the TC Energy Corporation, says that they had moved on from the Keystone Project. Fast forward to just a month ago, in January of 2025, President Trump rescinded Biden's executive order, but it may just be for show, because since this company has moved on, we've got to find a new company to either resume the operation and construction of this Keystone pipeline, in which At the time, there were a lot of jobs that went under because of it. According to Senator Kevin Cramer in the quote you see above, at the time Biden took office, 1,500 workers were out of a job. By the time this was supposed to be done in 2021, that year, there were going to be 11,000 jobs on the construction of this pipeline. And we're talking $800 million of wages were lost. So even if the South Bow Corporation does not pick up the construction of this project, and no other company does, and it's just dead in the water, well, that places an emphasis on other states to do oil production. President Trump says that we have more oil than any other nation in the world. Well, let's look here at home in West Virginia, where we have oil wells in production and in operation right now. Will that increase our supply and demand? You bet it will. And I think you can look at this state specifically of West Virginia as going to receive a big boon in production and jobs and wages here at home. Now, West Virginia started drilling for oil just before the Civil War. In 1900, it produced 16 million barrels of oil a year, which was a really good amount. Yet in the early 2000s, production dropped all the way down to 1.5 and 2 million barrels of oil a year. But in the 2020s, after the pandemic, West Virginia has climbed all the way up to the 12th state in the nation in oil production, producing more than 20 million barrels of oil a year. Now, much of that production comes from what is called stripper wells, and every single day, these stripper wells produce about 10 barrels of oil every single day. Now, shale is a type of bedrock, and there has been recent drilling in what has been called the Marcellus Shale out here in West Virginia, and that drilling has led to liquid hydrocarbons in crude oil reserves. So that's also boosting production. Now, the stock markets have taken quite a tumble lately this week in the New York Stock Exchange and the Dow, as the Dow has lost 750 points almost, and we are going into another fifth day in a row of losses about the concern of tariffs on other countries on their goods. Now, businesses are projecting imported goods to rise 4.5% in inflation a year ago from now, which is a lot of what's causing the troubles on Wall Street. But let's look at some of these companies that are supposed to be having improved stocks as a result of the oil boom that's supposed to be happening here from Trump's baby drill. One stock that looks excellent for 2025 is United Airlines. As you can see, even though the stock market was down recently, it has potential. Even over the last year, it did really well. Drill baby drill means the cost of fuel is going to be lower. And when things generally cost less, companies are able to make more of a profit, which is just one of the many reasons why this stock looks excellent for 2025, despite the recent slate of plane crashes that have been happening. Another stock that looks great is Royal Caribbean International, and you can see the blue line at the top just how well it's doing and how bad it did in the pandemic years and how good it's rebounding. Much like the airline companies, the cost of fuel is one of the biggest things going for this company, and when that cost is lower, things get better. Boeing stock looks to gain over the next 4 years as lower fuel costs will allow the company to sell more passenger planes. Newer models are more fuel efficient, which also helps with overhead margins, and shareholders will like that a lot. Number 3, illegal immigration. As you can see from the graphic here, President Trump revived 27 immigration policies from his previous term that Biden didn't do anything with, along with implementing 7 new immigration policies. Let's find out what's going on. It wasn't just the Keystone Pipeline that was stopped dead in its tracks. If you recall, the wall was also left unfinished in the middle of construction due to Biden's open border policies. Now, the main problem with the open border policy is that you're getting the bad over with the good. we're inheriting the evil of these other nations, and it's not our mess. It shouldn't be our problem. This includes gang members and a lot of bad things. Now, if you recall, other nations were opening their federal prisons and allowing the escaped convicts to cross federal lines. Why should that be America's problem? Well, the short answer is it shouldn't. And President Trump isn't saying that these people can't come over. He just wants them to do it the right way. So according to this, in 2022, undocumented immigrants generated almost $97 billion for the federal economy, which is great on the surface, but you gotta understand that there's a big difference between an undocumented immigrant and an illegal alien. So basically, being an undocumented immigrant could mean several things. It could mean that you just overstayed your visa, or it could mean that you are in the process of legalization, which I'll admit can take a very long time. Now, the reason people are coming from these other countries is because the conditions here in America are much better and favorable for them. But when they come over illegally, as they did during Biden's open border policy, they can apply for federal aid, programs like food stamps and temporary assistance for needy families, and that's where the problem comes into our federal economy. One of the big things regarding immigration is the focus on the 14th Amendment, which grants birthright citizenship, stating that if a child is born in the United States, that they are automatically a United States citizen. Now, foreign women will use the tactic of becoming impregnated and then crossing over foreign grounds to have that child, to where they can become a natural citizen, and they think that makes it to where they'll be a natural citizen as a result of not being separated from the baby. Now, liberals will argue that President Trump is like Adolf Hitler and a dictator trying to bend the 14th Amendment to his will. But Donald Trump cares about these people, and he doesn't want to separate the young children from their mothers. The best way to do this is to deny birthright citizenship and keep them together and send the mothers back to where they came from, to where they can come back over the right way. This is about our federal economy. Now, Donald Trump's going to look like the bad guy because these people thought they were coming over the right way. The previous administration told them, just come on over, you don't have to do anything. And now they have to go through all this heartache. But you cannot forget, it is not just the good people who have come over here. It is the gang members, the serial rapists, and the murderers who have been let out of prisons. And that is why we need immigration reform. So what has President Trump done in this last month? Well, let's check it out. Most of President Trump's executive orders are very limited right now due to the need of congressional approval. It's certainly not the case that he isn't trying, it's just that the checks and balances come into play of the executive branch here. For rich foreign investors who want to be a citizen of the United States and own a business, he is implementing a Trump Gold Card to replace the EB-5 program. The EB-5 Green Card program has been around since 1990, but the problem with it is it's easy for a lot of fraud to be associated with coming to the United States through this program. In some cases, foreign investors can come over here for as little as $500,000 or $500,000. Under President Trump's new Gold Card, foreign investors would be required to pay $5 million to come to the United States and be a resident, which would further help the American economy and avoid some of the fraud associated with the old EB-5 program. Number 4. DOGE. No conversation of the Department of Government Efficiency is complete without the mention of Elon Musk. And while I'll be the first to tell you that I don't necessarily trust Elon Musk, but I am very grateful for what they are doing with the reallocation of this money. Instead of the frivolous throwing away of billions of dollars to foreign programs that no one cares about, it's going to be returned to the hands of the taxpayers, the people who rightfully earned that money in the first place. So on the surface, this looks really good. They're being really transparent, and they're trying to get the money to the hands of the American people. So I don't know what there is to hate about this. This looks really good to me. The questions people have are, who gets the money and when do they get it? Early appearances are that it may be July of 26, and you'll have to be a taxpayer to get it, but this looks like to be more of a dividend, and I think it's going to come sooner.